Okay, we are live.
Welcome to Paranormal Palace Radio, where truth equals reality, and truth is often stranger than fiction.
Okay, welcome to Paranormal Palace Radio. This is your host, Royce, the Redneck Radio Man. And joining me tonight is going to be Lanaia Lee and Desiree Duncan. And Victor Rossetti was supposed to join us. However, pretty close to the last minute, he had a family emergency, and he's not going to be able to make it. But if I'm not mistaken, we're still have permission to play his voiceovers, I guess you could call them, that he prepared for the show. And Lanaia can tell us something about him, or Lanaia. And let's get this show on the road. We're going to try to have us a good old time here. Lanaia, how are you doing today?
I'm fine, sitting here in cold North Carolina.
You know what? I'm glad I'm not there. If it's cold, I don't want a part of it.
It's cold. I went outside while ago, my toes felt like they were going to fall off.
And Desiree, are you with us?
Oh, yes, I am. Hello.
And how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good, thank you.
All righty. Well, ladies, I want to thank both of y'all for joining me for the show tonight. And, well, Desiree, it's like I told you earlier, I thought you'd be ideal to have on the show tonight because you're a vampire. And, well, everybody knows vampires go with the tradition of Halloween.
Oh, yeah, I love doing interviews around Halloween time. It's my favorite time of year.
I like getting the candy that time of year.
Oh, yeah, that's good, too.
So, now, I think you say you recently moved to Germany, and you've got some new things going on since the last time you've been on my show, right?
Oh, yes, I have. I've always kind of been, I guess, to the online community, I guess one of the elders. I'm still quite young, but I guess it's elder for the online community. But I've always kind of kept to myself. I've decided recently to kind of come out a little bit more. And I'm doing some reviews of places around Europe and helping some of the European people to translate some of their messages so that they can have it in English, books and blogs and certain websites. And just trying to get the information out as accurate as possible.
Well, that sounds fantastic. And you were on the phone with me and Lanaia while we were waiting for the show to start. So you're already pretty well aware of the fact that Lanaia is an author. I don't think you're aware of how many books she's written, but you heard her say that she's coming out with another new book. Why don't we real quick, like Lanaia, let you tell my listeners a little something about that book?
Okay, well, to start, I've got out 3 anthologies and 4 novels. I'm getting ready to release 2 more novels before the end of the year, which are re-releases. And the book that I'm working on now is called Paradox 5. It is about Hitler's fictitious illegitimate grandson and time travel. And you talk about a thriller, it's a thriller. The end of it will make your hair curl, I promise.
All right. And when does this book come out?
Ooh, it'll be out next year. I'm about halfway finished with it. It's going to be in 3 parts. Part 1, assessment. Part 2, deployment. Part 3, debriefing. And I'm about halfway finished with Part 2. It's going to be good. It's going to be something you've never read before.
Okay.
I will say that much. Hollywood needs new material.
All right. Well, now, you got anything planned for Halloween this year?
I have my show with Victor tomorrow night, if he is able to do it. And that's it. My great niece and great nephews are going to come trick-or-treating. We live outside the city limits, so we're kind of out. And we don't get many, but they're going to come by, and that's going to be about it.
So you and Victor, y'all still have that Blog Talk Radio show over there, Dark Whispers, am I right?
Whispers in the Dark. Yes, we do.
Oh, I got the title wrong, Whispers in the Dark. And how long are y'all normally live for?
2 hours.
Y'all must have a paid premium account to be able to do that.
Well, it isn't the premium, that's the middle one.
Ooh, that's a oucher.
Premium goes 3 hours, I think.
Okay, yeah. I got the, what it called wrong, but I meant the, not the free, not the, most expensive, but the one in the middle, in other words.
Right, us poor starving artists can't afford all that stuff.
Well, neither can us poor starving hosts.
There you go.
But, what I did was I just left Blog Talk, and, well, as you can see, I started broadcasting on my own. I got some special software for my laptop that, enables me to send the signal straight up to the, website while it's going live, and I got my own call-in number and everything, and real quick, like, well, you know what? I forgot to put it on the page. However, the number is 832-632-7904 for anybody that wants to call in. We'd be happy to talk to you and make you a part of what's going on over here. And pretty much I want to also mention to everybody before I forget that there's the good folks over at UnitedParanormalInternational.ning. If y'all are looking for researchers or a social network, a place to be around people of like mind, without all the drama that some of the places have, that's a great place to go. Also, Lanaia's site is www.lanaiaslair.com. And I don't, Victor does have a website, if I'm not mistaken. It's,
yes, it is www.victor, V-I-K-O-R, Aurelius. I think that is AUERLIUS.com.
Right. Now, Desiree, you don't have that website you used to have anymore, but you're planning on getting a new website in the near future, am I right?
Oh, yes, I'm currently being kind of integrated into a larger community, so I don't have my own website as of yet, and being a spouse of someone who's more in the public light, I really can't have as many websites as I used to.
Now, you were telling me earlier on the phone that the people up there where you're at in Germany and maybe even other places around the world are getting more accepting of vampires than what they used to be, and that there's getting more and more groups, well, for want of a better word, sort of like covens or, whatever, where y'all can meet with others of like mind and, fellowship and learn and grow, right?
Oh, yes. America has a much larger following than Europe, and even though Europe's history is much older, there is a lot of myth and lore, and a lot of the Hollywood vampires are more of the beliefs that they have in Europe. They take it more as a game. It's more of a social outing. It's more kind of along the lines of Vampire the Masquerade or some of the role-playing games. But there is a following here, and it's slow to kind of be organized, but there is some organization now. I'd say a lot more in Paris. They have like the Endless Nights festivals in Paris, but in Germany here we have a small following in the house, and we're trying to get everybody to follow the same set of moral codes and rules. So we're a community that's worldwide versus small pockets of communities with differing views. But here in Germany, it's still a bit play-like.
Sounds like a fascinating thing to be a part of. I'm not really a vampire myself, but I imagine if I was, I'd like to be able to go and meet with people of like minds. Can you tell us roughly what transpires at a meeting or when y'all do get together?
Well, we do have like a central type council, which is kind of strange, but it is more of an online thing. We do have people that meet online, and we do have people that meet at such things like meetups.com. We have the Atlanta Vampire Alliance. We have scientific communities doing research as to prove who we are and that we do have certain abilities, and that it's not a psychological effect, that it's not a physical effect, that we are who we are. But, I'm sorry, but, I really lost where I was going there.
I hate when that happens.
But there is a big following, and we are getting more organized.
Fantastic. I don't know of any places here in Houston yet, but I'm sure they're going to be here pretty soon. Before I forget, once again, what do you have going on for Halloween?
Well, we had our first annual vampire ball here this last Saturday. Being a parent, it's a school night, so we're going to probably do the regular trick-or-treating with the kids. And being where I live, it's very uptight, so I really can't be who I am, but we're going to try to stay out as late as we can. I like to visit a cemetery respectfully every Halloween and stay out as late as we can and eat as much candy. So just like everyone else. Nothing too strange. I have to admit, in my younger days, we did some stranger things, but as a mom now, that's very PTA now.
We're probably going to sit around here and eat popcorn and watch Roseanne movies and episodes and maybe even some Saw.
Roseanne.
Well, yeah, we love her Halloween episodes.
Never saw it. Never liked her.
You didn't like it? We did. Alrighty. Well, Roseanne, oh God, I can't believe I started to go there.
How's that hit you?
Lanaia, as you know, you sent me some audios that Victor did for you that we was hoping to get to play here tonight. Why don't we start checking some out? The first one I see here is Cry of the, and it don't show the whole title.
Cry of the Banshee.
Banshee, yeah. I've only got so much room in the little window pane over here where the thing is on my program to show the whole title, in other words. But why don't we give that one a try, and see what we think of her.
In Ireland, and only here, there is a spirit most want to shy away from. This entity has the power to predict the death of another. If you run into her, you or someone you know will pay a tremendous sum. So, stay away from her, whether it be you or your brother.
Boy?
You only see her in the cold darkness of night. She, the bringer of death.
Yeah, you can't hear it?
Life's end.
Let me turn the volume up.
Not just seeing her. You hear her cry, whether or not she is within your sight.
Is that any better?
She is known
as
a banshee.
So I know what it's about.
To you or someone you know, death she will send. Her appearance, well, it will really startle you. White, flowing hair on a translucent white woman. And all she does is cry. If you hear her cry, you know your choices are few. She only comes to you to foretell someone is going to die. The bringer of what one dreads the most, known as death. This legend has been going on for centuries. Her only purpose is to bring the news that someone is about to take their last breath. Her cry will make your blood run cold. And to God himself you will send your pleas. The prophetess of doom, death, and gloom. She is someone you do not want to deal with, or see, or hear. Because once you encounter her, you know someone is going to a tomb. Her cry, her message, the details are very clear. Try to stay away from her. If not, you know the price when you hear her cry. She will never hear you and could care less about your plea. Her only reason for being is to let you know someone is going to die. So quickly turn away from the cry of the banshee.
Well, that was a real blood curdler.
That was a good one.
Now, Lanaia, I asked in the chat room, and James said that he heard it just fine. Desiree, was you able to hear it okay?
Not too well, but I kind of have the volume down a bit, so. Okay,
that might have something to do with it. And I was going to suggest to Lanaia earlier that maybe her volume was down, or might be because she's kind of a ways away from her computer or something. But at any rate, the people in the chat room here, and I got to tell you, it doesn't play that loud for me, so maybe it don't play loud through the to everybody, just to the audience, in other words, and it just kind of plays.
Well, that's fine. Like I said, I wrote it, so I know what it's about.
And that's how that works, isn't it, Lanaia? You write the words and send them to Victor, and then Victor adds the music and reads them off in his particular voice that he chooses?
Correct. Absolutely. Victor, we've been a team for about 8 years now. But I still haven't been in the right place at the right time yet. That is going to happen. Because like for my last book, Prayer the Scavenger, that's about a serial killer that practices hoodoo. I have a film agent for that. That means the agent sends the manuscript to production companies. And so far, I've been with them like 2.5 months, and they sent out to 20 production companies. So far, I know they've got back 3 rejections, and that's it so far. So I've got 17 more to go. So fingers crossed.
That's a lot.
Really.
Desiree, do you have anything you would like to share with us for Halloween?
Well, I guess I can probably advertise some of our upcoming events. We have Paris coming up for Endless Nights. That's actually coming up in April. We don't have it on Halloween. There is in the States, New Orleans. It may be sold out by now, but we have Endless Nights Ball in New Orleans that comes up every year. And it's a big, huge celebration. It's thousands of people come out to this. The tickets usually sell out well in advance. It's a huge celebration. Nothing but vampires come out. They have fangsmiths, people who like vampires, like to dress up like vampires. It's just a celebration of our community. There's quite a bit of events coming up. If you're in this area, Heidelberg, Germany, there's some events coming up in April. There's another big ball out there. But we also have the Atlanta Vampire Alliance. It's scientific statistics showing a lot of information on the community. If you'd like to learn more, if you'd like to contribute to it, there's a lot of stuff always coming up.
Fantastic. That sounds like a full plate to me. And you know, just very recently, I had Jim Harold, the host of Campfire, another internet radio show on, and he has a new book out, Campfire, True Ghost Stories. And I also had Jeff Ballinger on, and he's got a new book out, The World's Most Haunted Places. These are, both books plumb full of short ghost stories. The problem was I didn't put any of them right in front of me, unless, of course, my wife wants to grab them off the bookshelf. If she probably hears me while she's getting my water, I might share a ghost story or two here in a few minutes. While we're waiting for that, though, let's go ahead and listen to another one. We just heard Cry of the Banshee, and, I kind of enjoyed that, to be honest with you. But then, who am I?
You're the redneck radio man.
Oh, there you go. Now, this one here is titled Find Me.
Yeah, now that's really more history than it is scary. But, it falls under the realm of mummies, so it's okay for this time of year, too.
Alrighty, was this a very long one?
No, it's about the same as Cry of the Banshee.
Oh, cool. Well, let's go ahead and run this real quick.
I was Pharaoh's right-hand man, his architect and his physician. For 5,000 years, my tomb, I, myself, have been hidden from view. When I was alive in 3rd Dynasty Egypt, I was a man among men. Now my spirit is restless, as I want others to know me, and I want my dues. Here I have been undisturbed for all these centuries and years, but now I want others to know of me and all the things I did. I want others to look upon my face as they do Ramses the Great, without any fear. My tomb undisturbed, my body very well they did hide. So well my tomb intact, artifacts, my tomb robbers were not rid. I lived in Saqqara, city of the living. I designed the first pyramid, known as the Step Pyramid. It would be one of my greatest accomplishments. Just one of the many things I did. I was told I was a man before my time. To me, total genius from the gods was sent. My Pharaoh Doja, he saw my potential and everything I could do. He honored me by numerous titles. He even made me look like one of the gods. All the things I offered my king, there was no need for review. People started to worship me just like one of the gods. So now, this is the time. I wish my mummy and tomb to be found. I want to make my mark again on the world, and I want all to see the man, find my tomb, find the mummy that is bound. Look near the Step Pyramid. That is the key. So for 5,000 years, I and my tomb have remained hidden. But now is the time I make another debut to reveal more secrets that time has silently kept. For the things I did, none would be a sin. I again am ready for the world. So find me, bring me back to the world. I am known as Imhotep.
Well, my wife was just mentioning in chat that Victor's voice is so eerie, and really it is if you think about it. I mean, I'm sure Desiree's probably never heard that before, have you, Desiree?
Oh no, it's my first time.
I'll tell you, when I found him, I mean, you know, it was like we clicked. He loved my work, and I loved his voice.
Well, I think it's been like 3-4 years since he made my intro for me, and as you can see, I'm still using it. Desiree, you ever have need of an intro or anything like that, or anything you think his voice might be useful for?
Oh, I think he could probably come in very handy in the vampire community. His voice sounds perfect for a lot of our intros that we could use.
I think it does too.
Put him in touch. I'm sure he wouldn't mind it. Like doing intros for Desiree, because he's a good guy. He really is. To hear him talk normally, you would not know it's the same guy.
Oh, really?
Really.
I don't think I've ever heard him talk normally, have I? Oh, yes, I have, because when he was on there last Halloween, he would talk normal until he played the MP3, wouldn't he?
Right. Well, too, last Halloween, I couldn't talk. He was having to talk for both of us because I had laryngitis.
Yeah, I remember that.
Uh-huh.
First time I ever heard it. Well, never mind. I better not get chauvinistic. I might get shot.
Okay, Mrs. Hollerman, you listen to this.
There you go. Tattle to the wife.
Now, I would really like to talk to that guy about that world's most haunted places. I can think of two right off I would love to go to. One would be the Box in Edinburgh, and the second would be Previa Island, right off. It's right outside of Venice, Italy.
Well, the guy's name is Jeff Ballinger, and he's the founder of GhostVillage.com. And I was going to have my wife bring me the book, but she overheard me, but it didn't click that I was hoping she'd bring me the book, and she never did. And she went back to her room.
Oh, well.
But she's listening to us right now.
See, right now in the book I'm working on them doing something at Previa Island, and, you know, the ghosts that being haunted. The reports are that the island is so haunted that the Italian government will not let anybody on the island.
Really?
Really sad.
I never heard of that.
What a nice little thing to use in my book.
Now, Desiree, I've been meaning to ask you, have you ever thought about writing a book?
Well, actually, I have written a few books when I was younger, but they weren't anything on the paranormal. I actually have a few things published, but there were some greeting cards and a few essays, but I was pretty young then.
So you're not thinking about a book, maybe a how-to book on vampirism or anything like that?
I've thought about writing an autobiography. It's quite a strange life I've led. There's quite a few events I've had in my life that are probably a lot different than most people's, so I thought about doing an autobiography, but right now I just do interviews and reviews and articles on the community, but small little pieces, nothing too big.
I got you. Now, Lanaia, you were talking to me earlier about the ancient astronaut theory, because it turns out you and me are both really big fans of the ancient astronaut theory. So I just had to ask right now of Desiree if she is familiar with it or interested in it or has any takes on it or anything like that. Or have you heard of the ancient astronaut theory, Desiree?
Oh, yeah. We even have some theories in the vampire community where we believe that the ancient astronauts might have bred with the human race to create the vampires. So there's even that theory out there. So Yeah, I am familiar with it.
You know, I would think that maybe perhaps some of them might have created vampires, but some of them might have created humans or half-breed humans or half-breed vampires. But what I'm thinking is the Anunnaki, which is what the Sumerians called them, really stands for those who descended from heaven to earth, and that could really be one race of beings, 2 races, 10 races, 5 races. It's anybody that came from the heavens down.
It makes perfect sense that the Anunnaki came to Earth for gold, because, I mean, there are deposits of gold everywhere, and gold is such a pliable metal, you know? Would make absolute sense.
Actually, my wife just now, while we're talking, got me a book, but it wasn't quite the right one. She didn't get me World's Most Haunted Places. She got me Ghost, Spirits, and Hauntings. But she's getting it now. At any rate, I was going to say that, you know, if you think about the fact that there could have been who knows how many races, that one of the races could have been a vampire race, another one could have been a humanoid, another one more of a reptilian. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot out there about the reptilian, but who knows what they look like. You know, our Earth is 4.5 billion years old. And they say the dawn of mankind went about 20,000 years ago. Do I buy that? No. Where is that place? Pika, something like that. Somewhere in South America.
Okay, Eric Von Daniken wrote about it. It's one of the more recent places he investigated. He wrote about it in Twilight of the Gods, but I don't have the book in front of me to tell you what it is.
What I do know is he said that the place isn't that great, you know, you're just going to go there as a tourist. But what you've got to take into consideration are the size and the weight of the stones that are there. How? And there's no trees in that area. Trees don't grow there, so they couldn't have made roll things. Pika, that's it. Pika, I believe his name of it. And I believe Eric Von Daniken said that one of the stones alone weighed like 800 tons. You tell me how.
My wife is in the chat room tattling how old I am.
How old are you? 52. You're younger than
David
me.
I heard him in the background, by the way.
You're younger than me.
Only by 2 years.
You ain't got a tail now.
But
you know, I'm proud to be this old. And that's like, you know, Desiree, it's like when you get older, your beliefs change. You know, like belief in vampires, not the stereotype that Hollywood sets, but behind every legend, according to Eric Von Daniken, behind every legend there is a truth.
Yes.
And I believe that.
Yes, I believe that too. I mean, just like everything else, whatever science hasn't discovered or people haven't accepted, those are the things that tend to be dismissed. But just like anything else, like mental illnesses, we used to lock people away in mental institutions.
Right. You know, it's like when you get older, instead of being afraid of it, you're curious, you know?
You're curious?
Yeah, I guess because, you know, the time in front of you, and as long as the time behind you, you want to make sure that there's something.
Ah, okay. I was just fixing to say that why don't we listen to the next MP3, because I want to get as many of those in as I can before the show ends, because they all sounded pretty good.
What's the next one?
Well, actually, that's another one that the whole title don't show on. However, it starts out with my R-E-V.
My Revenge. That's a good one.
Okay.
I want to reach out from the grave to touch reality just one more time. I'm very aware of where I am and why. Here, in this house of the dead, the cobwebs and everything here is as silent as a mime. I have to reach out and let others know the reason I had to die. I died before my time, and no proof to implicate you. So I must try and reach out to warn others of you before somebody else dies. How could you be so evil to make someone die in the prime of their life and make others blue? Someone else like me, they also would have 1,000 lies. My awareness is so very real. You stopped my physical being, but not my spirit. My spirit instinctively comes back to this dark, damp place in hopes to reunite with the body that died. So, I feel it is my duty to warn others of you before you have a chance to hit. Justice. I want to warn others, or just have the pleasure to watch you die. You think you're so clever, and you will never get caught. My physical body was so young, never to experience adult life. Then you decided it was time for me to die. If I ever see you again, I wish to scratch your eyes out and watch you and laugh as of death you were taught. Revenge, not a nice thing to want, but it is my ultimate wish to watch you die, keeping your identity a secret. You even come to the mausoleum, so no one would suspect you. You have the audacity to even put flowers at my grave. As you stand here, I start my tactics. What's happening? You haven't a single clue. I must seek my revenge on you because I can't even taste it. This I deeply crave.
Well, it turns out that James in the chat room blabbed off. I set off a couple of my effects during the thing there, and he was like, "Oh, that's Sam's FX, sound device or whatever it was." And I'm like, "Oh darn, now they know." I thought it seemed appropriate to do this during that there because I thought it would fit. And there was another one I did, that one. I thought it might add to the eeriness and the spookiness just a little bit, so I thought I'd have a little fun. And James is like, "Oh, that's the sound effects there." And I'm like, "Shush, James." But, yeah, I just wanted to have a little bit of fun with that. My wife did get this here book, but before I share anything out of it, let's get through a few more of these things. These sounds really, really creepy and eerie, and they're making my wife, get the shivers. I want to see her get nightmares tonight. What was that?
What's the next one?
Well, okay, let me take a peek-see over here. and see what we got here. Oh, it looks like Oh Hell.
Now that's a long one. That's a short story. But it is good.
Well, I think it's like what, 5 or 10 minutes?
No, that's like 20 minutes.
20 minutes. That might be a little bit long to put on here. Oh yeah, 17 minutes, 18 seconds. I can see it now. Let's look into some of the other ones, and we can think about that one in a few minutes. Why don't we do Stay Fan, Alien Machine, Room Air Ducts?
What?
Well, that's what this says. That's not one of yours? Oh, I must have accidentally added it in when I was putting everything else in. What about They Cry then?
Yeah.
All righty
That's
then.
fine.
Let's give her a whirl. This is a, looks like a 5-minute one.
It has been a century since my last life, since I died the last time. Yes, I have lived before. I did upon the ill-fated RMS Titanic. 100 years since the unsinkable sank beneath the deep, dark, cold water. Everything as silent as a mime. No one ever thought this would ever happen. Unsinkable. Man challenged the Almighty, but it was in His hands and what He chose. Devastated. All His pick. April 14th, 1912. 1500 went into the cold dark sea. Surely they did not want to die. At least I did not want to go that way. In dreams I can still hear the cries, the chaos, the hopelessness. There was nowhere to flee. I still see it in my mind's eye. Those not knowing what to do. But with life and death, they had to play. A ship so luxurious, so majestic, no one thought it would end the way it did. The majority of people sentenced to a watery grave in a deep, dark abyss. I know what the people felt. I know the feelings of fear, feelings I have to this day. Of them, myself, I cannot rid. So many were on the list of those that with death shared a tragic kiss. At the place of the fatal, tragic, quiet. Listen, you could still hear the cries, like they were carried by the very wind. I can still feel 1,000 hands as they try to reach someone from their watery doom, trying to find the peace they so deserve. But the tragedy imprinted on time. This is not possible. Something on which the doomed cannot depend. In my mind, I always see them hear them, wishing there was something I could have done. But in oblivion, I guess they will always loom. I was like the tragic others on that dark, cold night. From this life, I was meant to die. But I remember the tragedy, the cold, the darkness, the cold cutting you like a knife. No one had the time to question as to why all 1,500 of us on that night, all we could do was face death and its strife. So, 100 years ago, a tragedy so overwhelming occurred, causing so many to die. Titanic was her name. She, always in infamy. The tragedy that happened would never die. We honor those what they went through, how they died. Their spirits now free, hoping now they have peace and no longer do they cry.
There, I just had to give them that scream at the end since they were looking for it.
What?
I said I just had to give them that scream at the end since they were looking for it.
Oh.
Now, they were asking in the chat room who those MP3s belong to. And I was, they're yours? Okay, I thought they
are mine, yes.
I thought they belonged to both of you. I didn't know they were solely yours.
Well, yeah, but, you know, I hold no restraints. Victor doesn't hold any restraints. You know, if he wants to use me, get. If I want to use them, I can. So. You know, we're more like brother and sister than we are a business partner type thing. We're more like families.
Was that They Cry that we just did?
I believe so.
Okay, well, I'm removing these from the Queen as we do them so I don't accidentally, you know, play them twice. The next one...
Can I take... 1 minute. Can I tell you about that book I'm going to write, Stickers from Hell, because that is right up your alley.
Oh, I thought you did. I meant to have you cover it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, this book is going to be about Templars, the Templar treasure, and the Vatican. I'm going to have a female historian. Her name is Karma Dance. And the reason I'm writing this is because the Knight Templars went through hell when they were captured, thrown at the stake, and tortured unmercifully. Well, last year in the Vatican, they found the 700-year-old document that pardoned the Knights Templars. That made me mad. So the book is going to be about Templar treasure. When Constantine made Christianity a religion, the main religion in Rome, his mother Helena went to Jerusalem to find religious artifacts. Well, she found, you know, where he was supposedly born and died, Christ. And she couldn't hide those things, but in my book, she also found the cache of other religious artifacts that were small enough that her and Constantine could keep them. Well, I believe it was 1289. Constantinople was, maybe it's 1389, it's one of them. But anyway, the Knights Templar ransacked Constantinople. And that's how they got their treasure right there. Because see, everybody thinks their treasure was silver and gold, but it's not. It's all religious artifacts. Like one of them I made was the platter of Salome, which, you know, was the platter that John the Baptist's head was presented to Solomon. And they're going to find the treasure, and it's going to be within the Vatican walls. What better place to bury treasure and not worry about it being touched? That's going to be my book right there.
I'm going to have to steal that book.
But that's my, like at the end of it, they find the treasure, and, you know, they're going to have the burning bush like Moses did. But, you know, the bush is going to say, ye are the New Age Templars. Being female, they would be the New Age Templars. There you go.
I'd also like to mention, everybody, all the books that she's got out so far, you can find the link to them underneath the chat room there in the show description, in a little slideshow gallery there that's linked right to Amazon. But you can also get her books from probably any retail book outlet, as well as Amazon, Barnes & Noble. And Lanaia, you got your books linked from your website too, don't you?
Yes, some of them, not all of them.
Okay.
I know all of them are on Amazon, every one of them.
I also want to mention to everybody, while I'm thinking about it, that Desiree is going to be coming back on our show Tuesday night, and we're going to be talking about vampirism and all the stuff that's associated with it, and everything that she's learned, all she's got going on. And well, I'm going to be looking for her to teach me, because she knows a lot more about the subject than I do. I hope you don't mind teaching me something on that there, Desiree.
Oh, not at all. I have quite a bit more information I'd like to share.
Cool. Well, that was something else. Do you have a lot of local ghost legends up there where you're at in Germany?
Oh, definitely. Right now, I'm staying in one of the places that Hitler has been. He's worked at. This is an old military complex. So he used to have dinner here, and I've heard quite a few rumors about some of the things that he's done here. So there's some good and bad spirits in this area.
Okay. Well, I got this here book on the world's most haunted places. I don't know if he covered anything in Germany or not. I haven't got to read the book in its entirety yet, to be quite honest with you guys. When you're a radio show host, you get these here books and you get them left and right. People trying to want you to review them or read them for your show, or, invite them to your show to be up to date on it or whatever. And it gets just so hard to keep up with all the reading of all the books you get. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, of course.
But I'm going to look in there in just a moment. What I'm noticing right now is that it looks like we got 3 things left here that Lanaia sent me. One of them's that 17-minute one, and we got a 3-minute and 27-second one, and a 4-minute and 36-second one. So why don't we go ahead and play these other 2? The next one is They Feel.
The autumn air is so crisp and cool on this night of darkness known as Hallows Eve. According to the legend, this is the night of witches, vampires, banshees, ghouls, and ghosts. A night not to be alone, and to be in a position, if need be, to leave. A night where things aren't quite right. A night where good and evil duel. Do I dare go out with my children on such a night? I can protect my children from the living, but I really don't know how to protect them from the dead. To take them into the darkness, would that be right? To subject them to the things of the darkness, to the things as a child I I was afraid of. Everyone says things of this night are folklore and myth, but I am different than most. I obtain the ability to feel. I can feel the presence of those long gone. The feeling is so very real. If these things are a myth, everything I feel is so very real. Did I pass this so-called gift to my children so they can also feel the dead? This is supposed to be a night of scary fun and games, but do they also possess the ability to also feel those long dead? I don't want my children to be scared and fear the darkness in which they will be led. I want them to have fun and to enjoy this night of scary fun, trick or treat. I want them to be able to say with no fears or regrets, not like me when I was a child, scared of everything under the sun. I want for my children to enjoy life and have no regrets.
I wouldn't make it a habit calling me that, son.
Sorry, folks. Still having a little bit of fun with my sound effects over there. I thought I'd make the show a little entertaining. But, at any rate, that was just fantastically awesome. I got a lot of, appreciation for his voice and the way he does that.
He's good. That's all I can say about him. He's good.
And he's
my friend. But
he's also just a baby, isn't he?
what? What'd you say?
I said, isn't he also just a baby compared to you and me?
A little guy. He's about our age.
Is he?
48, yeah, I think.
Wow, he carries it pretty good.
It's called fighting age.
I fight getting up in the morning.
You sound like me.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and listen to Your Hell real quick. And then
that's good.
Then we can move back over here to some of this other. That was not what was supposed to happen.
Do you believe in the possibility of a physical hell? Do you ever wonder what one may do to experience this? It makes one really wonder. But my belief is a little different than one may tell. Maybe each of us creates their own type of hell. Maybe the stinging burn of fire is emotional pain, a pain experienced in a human life, a pain one would want to forget. An experience so painful, the thought of it would drive one insane. A pain so severe, you feel as if your heart is being ripped away. The most severe pain you have ever met. Could this be hell? The pain, the stench of sulfur, being the longing and anxiety one would feel. Could it be we create this ourselves? Each to his own eternal doing. This being the infinite hell. The evil we do in life. This would make sense to experience this over and over. What an awful deal. No one really knows. But we are told it is the most painful thing we could experience after. Within the deep, dark hole we fell. Think about the most painful experience in life to deal with over and over again. In today's society, so many are trying to get in touch with their spirituality, to touch the hereafter. Maybe one day we will really know, scaring mankind so they won't commit as many sins. From evil and the bad, some way mankind will be able to deter. This is what I believe. We are judged for a heart that is light and true. But if the heart is heavy and dark, we all know we should prepare ourselves for a fiery hell. We want to be happy, even in death. Why take a chance on being sad or blue? Going into an abyss, one so deep and dark, no one would hear you as you yell. So, to each his own. Everyone has a time from their life they want to forget. But how could be that time in your life you want to forget? This could be what it is all about. The devil does not have to make a cell. Anyway, from this, run and hide. Our future in stone is not set yet. So think seriously about this, because in the end, this could be your hell.
Well, I tell you what, I think each and every one of those he does would give you the shivers. Desiree, you still with us?
Oh, yes, I am.
Oh, cool. You're still with us, Lanaia?
Yeah, I'm here.
I hope y'all will pardon that noise in the background. We recently acquired a Chihuahua who is quiet at all times except for during my show or when we're asleep.
Well, I've got a 3-year-old cocker spaniel, so I know what you mean.
I'm sorry, I had a little trouble making out what you just said. Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I said I've got a 3-year-old cocker spaniel, so I know what you mean.
Okay, I got you. Desiree, you were saying something a minute ago about having some more things you'd like to share?
Oh, yes. I didn't want to take up too much time tonight, but yeah, I have quite a few things I'd like to share. Some websites. I also have some other abilities, psychic abilities, clairvoyant, clairaudient. I do readings. I hold classes, things like that I might want to cover more on next interview.
Okay. Well, yeah, come to think of it, I do apologize because I should have really had you talking a little bit more from the beginning, because I forgot you're up there in Germany and you're like 7 hours ahead of us, and I wasn't thinking about that factor when I was going through this. I was just trying to actually get y'all in equally a little at a time, and I should have done it the other way given the fact you're up so late.
Oh, no, it's not a problem. I actually prefer nights, but I'm sure you guys have already thought that anyhow.
You're something of a night owl then?
Oh, definitely. Night is much better for me. I don't really care for mornings. The only reason I go to bed early is so I don't have to hate the mornings even more. But,
Desiree, you said something about you like to check out graveyards. You're not by yourself. I do too. I love to get a graveyard and read the headstones. I mean, I know I'm morbid, okay? Now my husband says I'm weird, okay?
Well, Desiree, if you get tired and want to exit stage left, so to speak, just chime in and let us know. We will definitely understand, and we can definitely talk more in depth, Tuesday night. I mostly just wanted you to join in on this here deal because I really thought that you'd be ideal, like I say, given the fact you've got probably vampire stories you might can share with us.
Oh, I guess so, yeah. As far as history and lore, just personal accounts.
Okay, well, personal account would be nice.
Okay, personal accounts. Well, I guess for stories, I think a lot of people out there probably come across the coming out story. They have some kind of idea that maybe they're different from other people, that they don't quite identify with everyone else, and they're not really sure why, and they have the sense that they are maybe something else. I think that's a common story that most of us go through. I think, especially during your teenage years, that's when you're really trying to find yourself. And when you're a vampire, this is a lot stronger. You don't quite seem to fit in anywhere, and the search goes on throughout your lifetime until you find these communities. And that's what we're trying to really do, is reach out to people and to let them know that it's okay to be who you are and what you are. It was a little harder for me because I believe that my psychic abilities are different than being a vampire. I think I happen to be a vampire with psychic abilities, so it was a little stranger for me. Learning who I was already talking to ghosts and was already involved in seances and things like that. They were pretty popular back when I was a kid. So these are things that I was going through while learning who I was. I always had low energy and poor health, and I think that had a lot to do with not feeding regularly, not knowing how to feed, not knowing how to get rid of negative energy, and being around ghosts also in a house that was very haunted. Ghosts tend to see that you're different, and they like to feed off of what energy you have, because you leak energy, and ghosts tend to need energy to form words and to form energy that they need. So they tend to feed off of you even more. So I was very sick growing up a lot, and I had to learn at a very early age how to protect myself and how to take in energy and how to be more who I was. So I think I maybe had a very early coming out, and I don't know, there's some myths that have to do with possibly even spirits inhabiting your body, and because that's how you become a vampire. Now, I don't not necessarily believe in that, but I did have an experience when I was 5 where there was an exorcism that was performed on me. I don't really remember it, but as far as I know, the last thing I remember seeing was something that looked like a vampire, sort of. It was, at that age, it was just a dark figure with the red eyes, something even similar to the Mothman, I suppose, that flew into my eyes, and I don't remember anything. They say that I woke up like 2 days later. I remember a priest above me, so that might have started the whole weirdness that I've gone through in my life.
Sounds like you had a very active life. Here, back when I first got started on this show, I had a woman on named Sierra Sky, who is an author of a book, and I think it was called Spirit Rescuers, and she dealt with helping spirits cross over the other side. And she was talking to me about how spirits would follow her home when she'd go to a haunted place, and how much trouble she had with it until she learned more about them.
Oh, yes, yeah. When I was very young, I was very scared of everything. I would hide under the covers, typical of a kid, and when they would try to talk to me or communicate with me, even physically touch me, it was very scary. But after a few years, I realized, I really have never been hurt by even the scariest of them. There are some that are very strong, but I think this is something that, these are just people who are looking to get a message across. They're either here because they have some kind of spiritual connection to that house, that place, and it's harder for them to leave. There's also the bad ones who lay claim to that area, which tend to be stronger than most humans. But they do have a real effect on you at a young age. But after a while, you learn to become stronger than them. You learn ways to protect yourself, to shield yourself from what they try to do to you, and you have to continually be teaching yourself. It's hard to find anyone out there to really teach you regular lessons. There's no real classes or books you can really pick up. It's really something you have to teach yourself, and you have to learn from experience. And that's also something that I do now when I come across people in my situation who are very young and new to the situation. I try to teach them my experiences and try to teach them little tips that I've picked up so that when they go through these experiences, they are more empowered.
Okay. Now, what all would you like to share or talk about when you come up this Tuesday? Kind of give my listeners an idea, pardon me, what to look forward to. And I'm sorry, but I think I'm catching a cold. I seem to get a frog coming into my voice while I'm talking.
Oh, yeah, that's no problem. That's going around here, too. But I would like to probably cover just, I guess, maybe the myths and some of the misconceptions. I'm sure that at least a few of the listeners may have some ideas of what they think vampires might be, about their feeding techniques and the community. So I'd like to address some of those issues and let them know where they can find more information if they happen to be a vampire, if they happen to just admire vampires and would like to learn more, to let everybody know that it's not quite exactly like Hollywood. I'd say the only thing that's closest to be true is we don't really care for the sun too much, but that's because it's more of an allergy. It does have an effect on us. It drains our energy more, just like anyone else. You could take a really good nap in the sun, but someone who lacks energy in the first place and leaks energy, the sun can really drain you. We get blisters and sunburns a lot easier than most people, but that's probably the closest one. But no one's ever turned into ash or anything, or ever sparkled either. So.
Okay. That sounds like we're going to have quite a bit to talk about. And that show's going to be Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's, well, actually it's 8 o'clock right now. So whatever time it is at where you're at listening right now, mark that, and that's the time you need to be over here if you want to catch that live. For people that are catching this show on Shoutcast, or some people are going to hear it after I archive it over at YouTube or at one of the other big video sites. The site here is www.paranormalpalace.com. And I'm going to go over Lanaia's website and Victor's website again so that everybody who's listening in the archives at these other places will be able to catch it. And Lanaia's is www.lanaiaslair.com. My voice tried to give out on me there, pardon me. And then Victor's is www.victoraurelius.com. That's VictorAurelius.com. He's also got other projects, www.darkprojects.com. There's his radio show, www.blogtalkradio.com/Victor Aurelius, and there's that's another link for darkprojects.com again. Feel free to go check them out and see what you think of them. Hope you like them. And we got something like, I would say, 40 minutes remaining on this show. So I want to ask both of you ladies if there's anything y'all would like to throw out there that we haven't got around to yet before we run out of time altogether, or before one of you have to sneak off into the night there.
The only thing I can say is check out my books.
Ain't that what you always say? Lanaia?
What?
I said, ain't that what you always say?
Of course. You know, I'm not into writing for the money. My pay is when somebody reads a story of mine, a poem of mine, or a novel of mine, the way they react. That's my pay.
Yeah, and you know, for a lot of authors that come on my show, they're not really trying to sell books to make money. I mean, that's more like something they have to do in order to be able to continue their research. A lot of them have a passion for, different areas of the paranormal. They, ghost research, UFO research, ancient alien. And, you just can't sometimes travel around the world to these places to get firsthand evidence unless you got the means to do it. And without being able to travel, you can't necessarily come back and put a book out with firsthand sources. And a lot of times these people, they got a real passion to, get out what they think is a more accurate picture of what's going on than the one the public knows today. And, this is the only way they know how to do it, but it is something very important to them, in other words.
Well, I try to put passion in my writings. And I am quite the amateur ancient historian. And I'm drawn to certain times in history, like ancient Egypt. America history is too young for me. It's got to be old. I mean, old.
I bet I could change your mind on that.
What?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, I bet I could change your mind on that.
I don't like American history.
Well, I think the part I'm talking about you'll like. There's just some parts about it that you may not be familiar with. But anyway, go ahead.
I would have to agree with that.
Name something.
Okay. There's videos out that actually talk about the founding of America and the role that the Illuminati plays in it, the role that, the Knights Templar play and the Freemasons play.
Don't you think that the Knights Templar and Freemasons are connected?
Yes, I do. But
okay, there you go. Enough said.
I'm just saying that there is another story to history that hasn't been outlined in the history books that goes more in depth into the conspiracy of what's going on, and the real reason.
I'm going to tell you something. I don't think we've been told everything about our history at all. Period.
Oh, I know we haven't.
I mean, you
definitely not the history of America.
You talk about the ancient alien theory, and I just say, look around. I mean, Stonehenge, pyramids in Egypt, the Mayan pyramids, the Great Wall of China. You are not going to tell me that primitive man, one step above primitive man, built these things without help.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense, and I agree with it. Desiree, what was you fixing to say there for a second?
Yeah,
I happen to be Apache, and I know that there's more history out there about America than most people know about. There were large civilizations. There were pyramids in America. There were ruins. There were mounds. There were temples that were just destroyed, that were tumbled under and just bulldozed under, and there was new America founded on top, as though there was absolutely nothing there before. I'm Native American, and I do have that's another thing that I get into. I have Native American history clubs and things like that I do, and I study anthropology, so there actually is a lot more history than what we were led to believe.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And you were talking about Anunnaki. All right. In the Sumerian thing, they came to Earth to mine gold. Why is it in Africa they have found ancient gold mines that some date about 250,000 years?
I had a little trouble making that out.
Well, according to some archaeologists now, they have found gold mines in Africa that date back 150,000 years. And the Anunnaki were here for a while.
Yeah, they were. Pardon me, hold on a minute.
And I believe what they say, that they thought mining the gold was beneath them, so that's where they say we came from.
Well, I got to tell you, I've had Bob Hieronymus on my show, and I've had Gary David, and both of them can tell you, as well as what's his name, Oshman, on here, that there was a lot different tales out there that haven't made the public eye, in other words.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I wouldn't be scared to know the truth. But I think our governments and stuff think it would cause mass panic or something. And what's going to happen, what they say is going to happen next year on December 21st, whether it be devastation or an awakening, something's going to change.
It looks like my wife was saying in the chat room that she is drawn to the concentration camps and or ESP, drawn to WW2 ESP in the camps. So I guess that would be in the concentration camps.
Uh-huh.
I guess they were practicing ESP. The prisoners of war were back during the days of Hitler, is what I'm assuming.
He was so big into the occult and paranormal. I mean, I've been doing research on this fucking Wayne Paddock file. The man was a nut. I mean, I like to put myself in my character's shoes when I write. And I'm going to tell you what, Hitler was the first and only character that I have written about that sent chill up my spine. I tell you, that is a rumor. There was a group of UFO enthusiasts that used to work with him. What were their names? The women had really, really long hair because they knew the what? The blitz. No, one minute. The women had really long hair because they thought it made them more susceptible to alien communication. I keep thinking that, but most of them just put off the face of the earth.
Say, ladies, I tell you what, we got like 30 minutes remaining. I should have asked this earlier, but could either one of you two use a break? I know I sure could.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You say you could use one, Lanaia?
Yes. If you're going to play in hell, let me say something first.
Okay, well, what about you, Desiree? Could you use a break, or do you want to cut loose until Tuesday and we'll see you then, or what would you like to do?
I'm fine if you want to keep going, but either way, I've got work in the morning and got to get the kids up for school in a couple hours, but I'm okay.
Okay. Well, listen, I tell you what. I'm going to start that last one of Lanaia Lee's of Hell and have that there playing while I take a real quick break for those that want to listen to it. And I'll come back in just a minute.
Before you start it, Royce, okay?
Okay.
This was written on a dare. This friend of mine wanted a story about a serial killer in a traffic jam. It goes from there. You'll see.
Okay. Yeah, I think I listened to it once, but I already forgot what it said. I've been so busy. But here we go.
I hate living here in New York City. Everyone and everything is in such a hurry, and I feel life is just too short. What I would give to have an escape to the country. My job is so full of stress. I am a stockbroker, so at times I really need an escape. Even my family adds to the stress. My wife, Bianca, is a website designer, and she is anything but happy with her job. She is moody and very ill at times. I have 2 teenage children, a boy and a girl. Noah is 15, and Nirvana, she is 13 going on 30. Don't get me wrong. My family is the most important thing to me on earth. But there are times when all need an escape from the fast-paced life of the city. One afternoon, much like any other, I came home and there was a telegram waiting for me. Something not of the norm. Bianca and the children, well, their curiosity had gotten the best of them, so they all gathered around, all of them chanting, "Open it." I could feel their anticipation, as after I opened it, they all chimed in unison, "Well?" I could not believe what I was reading. I knew my heritage was Irish, but I never expected this. Seems I had an estranged cousin there that had passed, that had no heirs, and they had left behind a big manor house in Ireland. Since there were no heirs, the house fell to the next of kin, and I was a next of kin. I never expected something like this. I used to kid with my family when I said, when my rich uncle dies, well, it wasn't my uncle, it was my cousin. I never dreamed. The very next day, I was in touch with the attorney, and he was even nice enough to send me some pictures via the internet. The pictures of the manor house just took my breath. The house itself looked like something out of a magazine. A big, beautiful 2-story house sitting on 100 acres of land. It looked so peaceful and tranquil. I took the day off from work so I could make the necessary plans to travel to Ireland and claim my unexpected prize. That afternoon, Bianca left early. She picked up the kids from school and joined me at home in order to finish making plans. After everyone is at home, we all sit down together at the computer to look over the pictures I had received. All of us around the computer, when the rest of the family saw the pictures, all they could do was ooh and ah. They were very impressed, as was I. The kids looked at me and say in unison, "When do we leave for Ireland?" I looked at them, very pleased. They liked what they saw. And I say, "How about the end of the week? Your mom and I can take a couple of weeks off from work, get you out of school as well, and we will go to Ireland and see for ourselves exactly what we were fortunate enough to inherit. If we like it there, would you guys consider staying there?" The children look at me with a wide-eyed look on their face, saying, "Dad, if life is better there than in the city, we are game." Then Bianca weighs in, saying, "Our lives have become too stressful here in the city. If it means a better life, then count me in." I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. The entire family is ready for a better stress-free life. I called the airport the very same day and booked a flight for Ireland for the day after tomorrow. My family is ready for a change. I didn't have to convince anyone. The next day, Bianca and I tell our employers of our plans, and they agree to a small leave of absence after they knew of my new inherited property. After we leave our employers, we go to the school and tell them of our plans. They were also all right with our plans, so the rest of the day we used to prepare for a much-anticipated trip to Ireland. That night, no one could sleep. The anticipation, you could cut the air with a knife. We all turned in pretty early, but I bet all of us laid in bed and tossed and turned for hours. The next morning, we have a very rushed breakfast. We got all our belongings together and hailed a cab. Then we were on our way to the airport. I tried to do some extra research on Ireland, so to the Irish, I wouldn't seem so foreign. One of the most interesting things I found out was how spiritual the Irish people are. This goes all the way back to the days of the Celtics. On our way to the airport, the excitement becomes a reality. Finally, we board the plane. When it comes to rest, we will be in Dublin, the land of my ancestors. I spared no expense as we were traveling in first class. Everything I wanted my family to experience. After a while, the plane is ready to land in Dublin, the Emerald Isle. The plane starts its descent, and when it lands, we are on our way to a new life, a life free of stress. At least, that is what I hope. After the plane lands, we walk onto the tarmac and into the airport. We see a man holding up a sign that says Daltrey on it. That is us. Seems the attorney sent a car for us. Inside the car, we are on our way to the manor house. Looking out of the car window, we see the lush green lands of Ireland, a land so steeped in history, it is just mind-blowing. Soon as we arrive at the manor house, it looks like a house that should be in a book. The House of Seven Gables. The house is so majestic. 2 stories of nothing but history. There is a big circle driveway, and in the very middle of the yard, a large fountain. There seems to be a staff outside the house waiting to greet us. This is definitely a new way of life. The house sits on 100 acres of rolling green, enough room to do all sorts of things outside. Near the house, there seems to be the remains of some kind of ancient chapel. The ambiance in the air really makes one feel they are in a different time. It makes one think about this land so steeped in history, standing on the ruins of an ancient church over 1,000 years old. The feeling is just incredible. We spend most of the day exploring after we unpacked. Now the curtain of darkness has fallen, and the feeling to everyone has totally changed. In the sunlight, things seemed welcoming and warm, but in the darkness, there is a feeling of foreboding, one of not being welcomed, feeling like, in a way, we are intruding. But I must ask myself, intruding on what? Being night, we are all gathered in the big sitting room of the manor house. The room is massive, elaborately decorated. The wallpaper of the room seems to be satin, green satin. Just like a castle, there are tapestries everywhere. The furniture in the room is a lighter green than the wallpaper. Simply beautiful. We have a butler and a maid that lives with us. Now, that is the taste of the good life. My wife and I are drinking brandy as the kids seem to be trying to find history on the computer of this old house. Noah found an interesting fact. This house is over 800 years old. Now, talk about history. Wow. My legs start feeling like they are asleep, so I stand up and move around some. I walk over to the window and look out. My eyes are drawn to the old ruins of the church. What I think I see among the ruins just can't be. Right around the ruins of the old church, I think I see some sort of black figure. It's just standing there, looking like it is staring right back at me. I say nothing to the family because I don't want to scare them. Tomorrow I will look around out there and try to get some idea of what I saw. The next morning I rise with the sun. I go downstairs and have some coffee, and then I venture out to the ruins on my property. My son Noah accompanies me. Noah did find out these ruins are not a Christian church, but ruins of an old pagan temple. Upon arrival at the ruins, we notice there is an underground room, a gaping dark hole within the ruins. Noah and I have to move some earth to get to the underground room. We finally have access. We have to jump down from the ruins into the underground room. It is really dark down here, but I have a flashlight. With flashlight in hand, I shine it around the room. I see all kinds of torture devices. Could this really be a room of torture within an old pagan temple? It really seems so. Noah and I spend most of the morning looking around the ruins in the room, but no answer to my question of what I saw last night. As another night makes its debut, strange things start to happen within the manor house. We are all sitting in the big sitting room with a storm brewing outside. Then, all of a sudden, the lights go out. Then we start hearing all kinds of knocking within the walls. I think it's a poltergeist. Maybe Noah and I disturbed something we shouldn't have. The knocking continues all night. There is one more thing. The stench of sulfur very much in the air. And all through the night we hear a noise like the grunting of a pig. This was the last straw. I had to know what we were dealing with. So I go outside to the ruins where everything had started. Under a stormy sky, I look around the ruins. At first, I see nothing. And then the stench of sulfur almost gets overbearing. And I hear some scratching noises right behind me. When I look behind myself, I see this black entity looking like some kind of deformed creature. And then it speaks.
You have disturbed me, awakening me to a world I do not wish to be in. You that disturbed me, face the consequences.
Well, this caught me off guard, so I slowly back up and head for the house. When I reach the house, I run inside and find the butler, George, and I ask him, what on earth is that thing in the ruins? George answers, since you have seen it, I guess I'd better explain. Over 1,000 years ago, the ruins on this property were a pagan temple, and beneath the temple was a room of torture. Here, so many were tortured, some so badly, they called upon the dark forces to help end their pain. This opened a portal to hell itself. This portal was a way for demons or elementals to enter our world. The ruins have an elemental. This thing was never human, and the only way to describe it is the usage of the word demon. The sole job of the elemental is to gather souls for evil. At times, they can take over a human-like possession. I wasn't going to tell you, hoping you would never know. But now you must know. Once you encounter the elemental, you are within its sight. I ask George how to protect myself against this thing, and George says, "Pray, Mr. Daughtry, pray." On this stormy night, we get a phone call from the local authorities telling us a dam has broken a couple of miles away and we had to evacuate. So we leave our home, headed for Dublin. The roads here in Ireland are so narrow. Of course, if you evacuate, there will be a traffic jam. So we sit here, right in front of the ruins, not really going anywhere, but we are trying. All of a sudden, I feel strange. I don't feel like myself. I get out of the car and just start walking through all of the cars. Along the way, I take time to kill. I kill so I can give Satan their souls. Finally, the authorities get here and take me into custody. The funny thing is, I don't remember anything. Did the elemental possess my body to collect souls for Satan? It does seem that way.
Well, I got to tell you, that laugh at the very end, I think, would give anybody chills.
Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, he's got a really, really, really evil laugh when he wants it, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Well, ladies, I don't know if you have been paying as much close attention to the time as I have, which I have my clock sitting in front of me since I'm broadcasting from my computer. But we've been doing this for like an hour and 48 minutes now, and I'm going to be probably shutting down here in another 12 minutes so that I can go to bed in order to get up at 6 and get John off to school and then get breakfast ready for my family tomorrow. So while we're still here, though, Desiree, is there anything that you might like to throw out there that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet? And I'm sorry we didn't have time to go into the world's most haunted places, by the way.
Not anything that I could probably fit in 12 minutes, but I do have quite a bit of stuff I'd like to bring Tuesday, but quite a few websites and some topics that I would like to cover then.
Well, if you'll send me those links, I'll put them up on the show description. I mean, roughly how many links are there, do you know?
Links to important websites that I think that our community really should have information to. I'd say at least a good 5.
Oh, that's not bad. I can probably squeeze that into the description if you want to send them to me.
And I would say those are just the most important from there. I mean, we have links to other sites, links within links. But if you were a lost kid who didn't quite know who you were, I think you need at least those good 5 websites to start you off.
Oh, okay. Now, these are for anywhere in the world, or mostly in Germany, or what exactly?
They're mostly American sites, but we do have some international sites. And if anyone's interested for Germany, I do have those as well.
Okay.
And I also have some for Sweden, I think, and France, and quite a few others that I've come across.
So missing children, is that a big problem up there in Germany?
Well, not really. I haven't really come across too many people in this community who are very young. Most of the people in this community are quite old, actually. You go to a club and you don't see the 15-year-old, 18-year-old kids. You see even 65, 75-year-old men dancing in the clubs. It's kind of strange. It's Germany, a whole different ballpark. It's more locals, and people dress a little bit different, jeans and sweats, and people really know who they are. They're not really lost, and if they don't know who they are, they don't really care too much. They've got a relaxed kind of attitude, and they kind of just carefree about it.
Okay. That sounds like it's I like that relaxed, carefree bit myself. Being a redneck, and I live in the city, but yet we're still kind of country. You know what I'm saying? Now, Lanaia, what about you? Is there anything else that you want to put out there before we get out of here for the night that I haven't had a chance to?
Just buy normal things. Buy my books when you want peace diary. And then again, you might be sorry. Because that last story I tell that you just played is like a condensation of a condensed version of my books.
Okay. And what about last minute thoughts, Desiree?
Well, last minute thoughts, I guess I'd like to share with people that I've come quite a long ways from your last show, and that I'm doing quite a bit more, and to be on the lookout for a lot more from me. I have quite a few clubs, websites, interviews, some international travel sites that I'm bringing. So there's quite a few things that I'm dabbling in that will help everyone out.
Okay. And Lanaia, you got any last minute thoughts besides buy my books? We won't be sorry.
If anybody needs anything written of a dark genre or anything, let you know and let me know, and I'll be more than glad to give it a shot.
Alrighty. And also, I want to remind everybody, my next show is this Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Desiree Duncan's going to return, and we're going to get a whole entire update on vampires, and we're going to talk about what she's learned since the last time she's been on the show, and all this other stuff that she's going to want to share with us. And in addition to that, now this week I'm going to have more than one show because I promised Syed David Farman that he could come on for about 30 minutes. He wants to talk to us about Alchemy Event 11-11-11, and this is a conference that's going to be going on up in California that's got a lot of events attached to it, and he's going to go into more detail Wednesday night, November the 2nd, at 8 p.m., and it's only going to be a 30-minute show because he said that's all he can manage. And then at Thursday, November the 3rd, at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'm going to have Michael Sands on, and we're going to talk about how to manage a religious organization. And he's got a book out on this, and I'm pretty sure that these principles would apply to more than just a religious organization, maybe a ghost hoarding organization and other ones as well. And we also got Bernardo Castro coming up in November for Dreamed Up Reality, Savannah Arienta, and we're going to be talking about light workers. We've got RQ's Supernatural with Michael Bastine and Mason Winfield. We got The Universe Speaks on Love and Pain with Rory Shepard. And we got Anunnaki, Religion and Spirituality with Joshua Free coming up in November, as well as From Elsewhere, BNET in America with Scott Mendelker, and I'm having a little trouble with pronunciation tonight. And then Ron Melion is going to come on and talk to us about UFO detectors that he's invented. So November promises to be a very busy month, and I'm going to be posting this and sending out newsletters for anybody that's listening. If you want to come to www.paranormalpalace.com, you can sign up. That doesn't cost anything. The main reason for the sign up is to keep spam bots out of chat and spam bots out of the forum. You can sign up for the newsletter for free. Once you have an account, you just go into profile, change information, and scroll down to where you have a round button to highlight that says receive a newsletter, and click on it. And when I send out a newsletter for the shows as they come up, you'll be on the list to get one. Don't forget about Lanaia's site, www.lanaiaslair.com. And don't forget about www.victorarielis.com. And also don't forget about UnitedParanormalInternational.ning. Some wonderful folks over there. Go over there, check them out. And if anybody's interested in joining my own personal social network, you can find that. Well, actually, let me open up another window before I accidentally exit out of this chat room and you people think I was rude to you by accident or something. But I have a social network. It's very much like MySpace, and it's a great place to get to know people. You can post information there. Lanaia and Desiree might even want to post other upcoming events or books or whatever they got if they want to. But it's the paranormalclub.co.cc, and it operates like MySpace. It has chat, it has groups, it has photo albums, videos, music, forums, blogs, anything you can imagine made to share. And I invite everybody to take and go over there and join up if they're interested and to share whatever it is that they want to share. I just ask that it's related to paranormal phenomena so we don't have people complaining, oh, I thought this was a paranormal site. I've actually seen them do that in Yahoo groups. And folks, I apologize for that big old mouthful I just gave you, but it's how I let everyone know. I also wanted to thank everybody for attending. I couldn't have a show without my guests any more than I could, without listeners any more than I could without a guest, unless I wanted to talk to the air, of course. And it's been a fantastic night. Give me a couple of days to get this here, run through my movie maker, upload it to my archives, linked and upload it to the other places, and I'll be sharing the links. Ladies, I want to thank y'all for making this a fantastic night and joining me. And Lanaia, I want to thank you for sharing all the MP3s with us. They were really fantastic. And Desiree, you've been wonderful here tonight, and you've had a lot to share with us, and I really have appreciated you being here. And I look forward to seeing you Tuesday night. And I'm going to go ahead and call this a wrap unless one of you two have something y'all would like to add to it.
I just want to say to everybody, happy Halloween and good night.
All right. Well, I want to wish everybody a happy Halloween as well. That includes my guests as well as my listeners.